Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining or tuning into our webinar. Today, we're going to talk about alternative sources of funding other than the PPP for your business during the coronavirus period. So a quick outreach or a quick overview, what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about some federal programs that are out there, the COVID Relief Coalition, the Lowe's LISC partnership, the American Express grant, Massachusetts Growth Capital Corp, and a couple other miscellaneous grants that are available. Throughout this webinar, if you want to go to our website, abbandcompany.net, ABBOTTANDCOMPANY.net, you will be able to download these slides. There's actually links to every single one of these companies and suggestions that we have out there. So feel free to go online and download those.
So good afternoon, everyone. As promised, we're going to continue our webinars and make the slides and the content available to you at your leisure. So this morning I had a conference call, participated in a conference call with Senators Bennett and Senator Young. They are co-chairing the Restart bill, which is a bipartisan bill that has the most support from both sides of the aisle, that hopefully will provide some relief to small businesses. They echoed the seriousness of what many small businesses are going through, specifically restaurants, daycares, gyms, concert halls, those sorts of businesses that are really drastically impacted by the pandemic and the government restrictions placed on those businesses. Some of the facts that came out of that was 88% of you have exhausted your PPP loan funding. I'm surprised that that number isn't closer to 100%, to be honest. 32% of you have been forced to lay off employees or cut wages as a result of the legislative impasse. Again, we've seen for the first time in a long time, industries that would have even been considered protected are still laying off people. So I think this is something that we're going to continue to see, and that number is going to continue to grow. 30% of you will exhaust your cash reserves by the end of the year if Congress does not act this fall. There's also been some statistics that, Small Business America, Main Street America, 50% of the businesses that you come to see in your local towns this time next year will not be there. So it's a pretty dire situation for many of these businesses, as you all know and can appreciate. So we thought we'd do some more research and get some other ways of getting funding out to you, so at least you can do some homework there.
So a couple of the things that are available are some federal assistance programs, the EIDL loans. We've talked about that before. But there's two tax credits that have been overlooked throughout all of this. So the first one is the Employee Retention Tax Credit. And it's a 50% tax credit on wages paid when there is a significant decline in revenue. And that's up to $5,000. It's a $5,000 credit. So you have to pay them $10,000 during that time. So it goes against your portion of the FICA taxes, and then the excess of it can be refunded. That would be on your 941 return. And then there's the coronavirus related paid leave for workers and tax credits. That's a refundable credit for those of your workers that are unable to work but are still being paid. This came with the Families First Coronavirus Relief Act, where they were people that had to be paid for 2 weeks if they were sick with coronavirus. And it was that up to 100% their wages, or up to $511 a day, or for the next 10 weeks if their child's school was closed, that was up to $200 a day. So it's a credit for those dollars spent. And then there's the COVID Relief Coalition. So these are targeted programs for Massachusetts businesses and specific industries. It's a varying amount of funding as well as free assistance. Not all of them are actual cash. Some of them, though, are loans. So you need to be careful that because not all of them have forgiveness built in. And they also have some guidance and some reopening plans as well on that website. And it's a great starting place to look. Some of the programs they have the Main Street Initiative, Boston Artists Relief Fund, Rally for Restaurants, just to name a few of them that are out there. Then there's the Lowe's LISC partnership. It's a $55 million fund. $30 million of it is earmarked for minority or women-owned businesses, and $25 million is earmarked for rural businesses that usually don't have access to capital as freely as other businesses do. And these are $20,000 grants available for employers' basic needs, supplies, payroll, rent, things like that. LIFC also has some other funds available, so you should check them out. Here's the American Express Fund that we shared the other day during the email blast. This unfortunately has closed for applications, but it was earmarked for Black-owned businesses. Their website is We Back Black Businesses. They're really trying to help decrease the divide in this country with wealth disparity. So it was $10 million in grants and training over the next 4 years, and you must have had 3 to 20 employees in peanut-distressed communities. Then there's Massachusetts Growth Capital Corp. This was micro enterprises, less than 5 people. It was similar to the PPPs for spending categories, but it also included a PPE category. So if you were spending on that, you could also receive some cash. It was up to a $10,000 grant, and your expenses must exceed that. And again, priority status is given to minority businesses. And then a couple other miscellaneous funds. So specific towns may have come out with a fund. Newton came out with one. I believe Winchester has one. So check your local town. Sometimes it is the business has to be there, or the owner has to live there. So check both if you live and work in different communities. The Main Street Lending Program that was set up by the Federal Reserve may have some lending power there. And then Jobs for New England Working Capital Lending Program, also more loans you can take on if you need them.
Yeah, and I would continue, to advise you to check with your local banks on the status of the availability of the forgiveness application. Joe has been working very, very hard helping our clients through that process and ensuring that, all the demands of that application are met. So I encourage you all to, stay updated with those local institutions. Honestly, we don't believe, again, as said before, that we'll hear anything definitive before the election. I guess there's a debate coming up, first presidential debate coming up. So let's see if anything comes out of that as well. So thank you all again. Enjoy your afternoon, and we'll speak soon.
Thank you.